My hometown is New Iberia, Louisiana, better known as Bayou Teche country. New Iberia sits right along the Bayou Teche, and right now the population is currently at 30,000 people. A little history of my town. In terms of relations during the 18th century was like the 17th century with frequent wars. Although in this case the wars were relatively shorter and the principal enemy was not France but England. In one of the Bourbon alliance against the English, the Seven-Year Wars began, which ended with the Treaty of Paris in 1763. In this treaty, as a consequence of backing the French, Spain ceded Florida to England. And by a separate agreement, the French, who had liquidated their possessions in North America by ceding to Canada to the English, compensated Spain with the concessions of Louisiana, a territory that extended along the Mississippi River from New Orleans to St. Louis, including all the land with rivers to the west that emptied into the Mississippi. The expedition left from Mississippi River on the 7th of February of 1779 and entered one of the numerous marshy rivers of the region, the Bayou Pacaman, until they reached their destination, the Bayou Teche. And the members of the expedition was leaving from New Orleans to go out to find more land that's easy to farm on. And the main person was Colonel Bouligny. Upon arriving, Bouligny established the model of a central plaza and houses and streets, perfectly aligned, locating, according to the report, next to the small site of the Chitamacas, whose beautiful location and excellent soil seems to be very favorable to the settlement of this population for the cultivation and raising of all sorts of animals. In 1803, Napoleon sold Louisiana to the United States in order to avoid it falling into British hands, and because he needed money for his military campaign. There began a period of uncertainty. They did not have any written titles or grants for their properties, and the United States refused to recognize their land ownership, a reason why some near a lake of the relocated to a lake near the edge known as Spanish Lake. In 1814, the United States opened a post office with the name of New Iberia, but shortly after, some began to call it Nueve Iberia, and it was only listed as Iberia. In opposition to names Nueve and Nueve Iberia, they called it New Iberia. Public school history. Public schools in New Iberia was segregated until 1970, where they had New Iberia Senior High School, who was the Yellow Jackets, and Jonas Henderson High School, who were the Tigers. And then they all became one. It was only New Iberia Senior High School. And then around the 1870s, the Catholic Carmelite Sisters of Mount Carmel opened a all-girls high school. 3 years later, Holy Cross College began offering college preparatory education to young men of the area. In 1819, Holy Cross named their school St. Peter College and moved it to New Iberia. And then that school became Catholic High School. So currently there are two public high schools, New Iberia Senior High, Westgate High, and one Catholic high school that is now co-ed. New Iberia is known as the sweetest, spiciest, saltiest little city in Louisiana because it is known for its sugarcane growers and farmers in the surrounding areas and parishes. And New Iberia hosts the annual sugarcane festival every year in September. And by being the spiciest, this is where they grow the Tabasco plant and manufacture Tabasco sauce. And being saltiest, parts of New Iberia and Iberia Parish sits on these salt domes where salt is mined, where the salt mines are. So that's why New Iberia is known as the saltiest little city in Louisiana. My hometown has a very much culture, and even to the point of the famous author James Lou Burke, who wrote books about between New Orleans, and he also had a home in New Iberia, Louisiana. New Iberia, most of the homes on the main street, now when you pass on the street, you're actually looking at the back of the homes, because back then everybody used the bayou as a way of transportation. So a lot of the front of the houses are actually the back of the houses. But my hometown is a good town. You can look it up. New Iberia, Louisiana. Thank you.